the unaware, if you collect every single ring in an axe, you are awarded with a 50,000 point bonus, which is an automatic extra life. Now, to those still raising your hands, how many of you have gotten a perfect bonus on every single level in Sonic 2? Now, unfortunately, I can't actually see any of you. But let it be known that anyone who's still raising their hand is a liar, because you cannot get a perfect bonus in every single stage.
Are you sure about that?
For years, no, decades, it was thought to be impossible, but no longer. Today, I'm gonna try to collect every single ring in Sonic 2. We'll be using the perfect bonus to confirm that we've gotten all of the rings in each level. Super ring boxes and rings from the slot machines don't count towards a perfect bonus, so for this challenge, they won't count either. Now, let's do it! We start off with Emerald Hill Zone. This first act isn't difficult at all. Most rings are easy to spot, and there's no part of the level where we're prevented from backtracking. The only difficult part is this hole in the wall. For some reason, in the Sonic Origins version of the game, these areas are really hard to get into. Something weird I noticed while playing is that there should only be 296 rings in this stage. However, I sometimes end the stage with a different number of rings and still get the perfect bonus. If anyone knows the reason for this, leave a comment down below. Oh, and make sure to like and subscribe too while you're at it. It really helped me out. This level was a bit more difficult, but still nothing to sweat over. There are a ton more of these holes in the wall though, which was mildly annoying, but if we just keep trying, we can eventually get through. After collecting every ring, I beat the easiest boss in Sonic history, and with that, we're done with Emerald Hill. At this point in the run, I was feeling pretty good. If things keep going like this, I'll be done in no time. How naive I was. Oh boy, this zone. This is when I realized that I had massively underestimated this challenge. Not only is this a huge, winding level with many different paths, but there are also sections of the level which completely lock us out of backtracking. I couldn't just go around the level, picking up the rings that I came across anymore. From now on, I needed to create a route from the start and follow it exactly, or else I'd lock myself out of some rings and need to reset. So at this point, I decided to use maps. I got maps of each level from Sonic Retro and plotted out a path that would allow me to get every ring without missing anything. And while doing that, I noticed something. In the Sonic Origins version of the game, they added new areas that you need tails to access. By pressing up and then jump, we can make tails fly, and then we can grab onto them for a lift. This is necessary in order to get some rings placed in the new areas. So I had to take this into account as well. In the end, I came up with this path. Yeah, see what I gotta deal with? Once we enter this area here, there's no way to go back, so I had to be careful and only go down there once I was sure that I got everything. And all that was only Act 1. Act 2 is even more difficult than Act 1. Though there are no one-ways that lock us out of sections of the level, the design is very complex, with rings located in places you would never normally reach. Look at this! Who would ever find this? Anyway, something I didn't mention when talking about the last act are these pipes. Some of them actually have 2 different locations that they can send us to, and which location they choose is determined by the timer. If it's even, we go here. If it's odd, we go there. We need to keep track of these and go through both paths in order to get everything. At this point in the stage, there's a secret area we can reach by going through this fake wall. Also, there are 3 rings that are hidden even further up, which are very easy to miss. On the right, there's another secret area hidden inside the secret area. Yeah. After collecting all of the rings here, I fell down next to the boss area, but I didn't fight him just yet. Instead, I went backwards to collect the rings on the lower path. These 3 rings here are easy to miss and difficult to collect. But by using a spin dash, I just barely made it back. I then went all the way back to this section. But wait, there are 3 rings here which are impossible to get as Sonic. Well, actually you can get them, but it's impossible to make it back after grabbing them. So here's the trick I came up with. I plugged in a second controller and used Tails to grab the rings safely. There we go. There's also a super ring box here, but we can't get it without dying, which is why I'm not collecting all of them. And also because they don't count towards a perfect bonus. Anyway, time for the boss.
Tails! Now, what am I gonna do with you?
Despite that little setback, I eventually managed to beat him. And that's Chemical Plant done. This level is a much needed break after the last one. There are no one-ways here, and the design isn't very confusing. Although a lot of rings in the level are difficult to see because of the leaves in the foreground. But as long as I was paying attention, I could clear this act easily. Before we get started with this level, I'd like to explain the reason why I'm playing this version of the game specifically. In the original game, there are some rings which are placed in locations which are impossible to reach normally. These 2 rings here are one example. This makes the challenge impossible on the Genesis version. However, in this version of the game, they have actually removed these rings, which makes my job a whole lot easier. Now onto the level itself. It's a lot harder than Act 1. There are more pathways in this level, and I also missed a few rings and had to double check constantly. There was also this section here, which has rings hidden behind this fake wall. But the main thing I needed to watch out for was getting crushed by these pillars. For some reason, I just kept getting crushed by them over and over and over. It's not difficult to avoid them, but I was just impatient and also distracted by thinking of the ring locations instead of paying attention to the rest of the level. The underwater sections also have these pillars. At first, I was tempted to go fast here to avoid drowning, but the level has plenty of air bubbles. The best thing to do is just play patiently until we reach Eggman. This boss isn't too hard, just stand on the pillars and keep jumping at him. You can return to the pillars after every jump. You can also get Tails to fly into him to deal damage. And that's another zone down. Fun fact, if Tails gets crushed by these blocks, they disappear. That has nothing to do with the run, I just thought it was neat. For this level, learning how to use the flippers was important, because I needed to control Sonic precisely when he was pinballing around. Most of the level is pretty easy and stress-free, but there was one section at the end which is infuriating. If you fall in this hole, you're done. There's no going back. I needed to precisely launch myself right in here, collect all the rings in the area, and then double back. I failed this so many times it was comical. But after 5 separate tries, I did it right and cleared the level. Act 2 has multiple places with fake walls which lead to areas with rings. There's this one over here, and then there's also this one. But after going through the second one and reaching this elevator, we do not take it. If I did, then I would miss some rings. Instead, I double back and used Tails to fly out the way I came. I first made sure that I got every ring up to this point, and trust me, there were a lot. Then I went down here. Once we go down here, there's no going back, so we gotta be careful. The rest is pretty simple. I just needed to make sure to get the rings here and here. Oh, and I also needed to collect all the rings next to the bumpers. Slippery little things. And then we fight the boss. Like the other boss fights so far, he isn't too hard. All I needed to do was spin dash up the sides and jump at him. And now, it's time for Hilltop Zone. Hilltop Zone is the second hardest zone in the game, and it marks the second time I wanted to give up on this challenge. So let me explain exactly what I had to do here. First, I went through the level as normal, picking up all the rings along the way until I got to this loop. Then I used Tails to fly over it and get to this secret area. I went through this loop and collected the rings here. But, and this is important, I didn't go down here. If you go down here, you won't be able to get back up. Instead, I flew back up through this hole and then flew over the loop. Yup, there's another secret area here. I made my way through the area up until right here, where this rock is. After reaching this point, I went all the way back to the start. Why? Because I needed to do this. Yeah. For this section, I needed to go in with the shield, get hit, and then use the invincibility frames to quickly run across while grabbing every ring. Then, I used Tails to lift me up, grab all the rings here, then lift me up again so I can get out of here. It's very clear that this section here was not meant for Sonic, but you can do it without losing your rings. Once we're in the clear, we just need to fly upwards to collect all the rings here. After that though, the rest of the level is straightforward. Oh geez. The reason why I was so specific this time was because this is the only route you could take. There are so many points in the level that completely lock you out of backtracking that it's ridiculous. But all of that is nothing compared to Act 2. This act is straight up impossible. See these doors here? They're all one-way doors. There's no way to get past them from the left. There are 2 areas in this level that are blocked off with these doors. If we go through one area, we can't get to the other. And of course, both areas have rings in them. So that's it. It's over. Nah, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't give up that easily. I tried every single method I could think of. I tried running at it at top speed, no dice. I tried to use Tails to prevent the doors from closing, but that didn't work either. Then, I discovered something. In this game, if you crouch down like this, you cannot get crushed. So, I thought I would use this to clip into the wall and pass these doors. But that still didn't work. This area up here doesn't let us move at all. And down here, if we stand in the lava, we just lose all our rings and die. That's when I remembered something. A hidden feature added to this game. Elemental shields. On the title screen, press up 3 times, down 3 times, then left, right, left, right. After you hear a ring sound, press start. This brings us to the level select screen. Then we play 0-0 on the sound test 3 times and it'll open up the game config menu. Now we can turn on elemental shields. The only downside to this is that we can't save, meaning we'll need to do this all in one go. This also means we gotta start everything all over again up to this point. Whew, let me just skip through this all and we're back. Alright, first I went through the bottom path and collected this flame shield. This shield prevents all fire and lava from affecting us and lets us do a fire dash by pressing jump in midair. After getting the shield, I collected every single ring in the area, but, and this is key, I didn't leave. Instead, I crouched down here and waited for the lava to rise. Eventually, the lava will go all the way to the top and then all the way back down. Then, I go to this door at the bottom and wait for the lava to rise up again. We crouch down, and then, when we're in the wall, we gotta do a spin dash jump and then use the fire dash. If we do this right, we should just barely be able to get past both doors and make it out. After finally getting this trick, I collected all of the rings I might have missed and then returned to the start of the level to go to the upper path. From here, I just went through normally until I reached the area right before the boss. Then I went backward on the lower path to collect all of the rings there. After that, I easily beat the boss with the flame shield and continued on to Mystic Cave Zone. This song is the best in the whole game, and if you disagree, you're objectively wrong. And the level isn't bad either. While there are some spots which prevent us from backtracking, the level design is simple enough to where I rarely missed anything. A well-deserved break after the insanity that was Hilltop Zone. Act 2 is very similar to the first. There's no part of the level that locks us out, so it was easy to collect every ring. I just needed to do a basic sweep over the area. Having elemental shields also makes the boss an absolute joke. And with that, wait just a minute. If we clear the level, we'll be missing out on this. By falling down this hole, we find a secret zone. Or should I say, a hidden zone. Palace.
Boo! You stink!
And of course, it has its own rings and its own perfect bonus. This level is huge, both vertically and horizontally, with lots of alternate pathways to take. Because of that, I often got confused and forgot what places I had already been to. It didn't help that the map of this stage on Sonic Retro lacked any rings, meaning that I had to fly blind this time. Luckily, this level doesn't require you to take a strict path, unlike many others, so I could just explore to my heart's content until I was certain I got everything. The lack of a time limit on stages is a godsend for this run. Normally, Sonic dies after 10 minutes passed in a level, but the developers removed that feature for this version of the game. So we can just take our time, explore the level, fly around with Tails, and get everything we need. The boss of this zone is called Brass Eggman, and well, that's okay. We're just here to collect the rings, not hold on to them. We're supposed to beat this boss by making the big bomb go off underneath him, but Tails again comes to the rescue. Just fly into him 8 times, and he's done for. On to Oil Ocean. This stage might seem like it stops backtracking, with all the slides and the moving platforms and the cannons, but it actually doesn't. By just jumping in the oil, we can go all the way back to the beginning of the stage. Make sure not to go too low though. This level isn't really that hard, but it's easy to forget a few rings here and there. I cleared this level a bunch of times, certain that I had every single ring, only to not get the perfect bonus at the end. But after a few tries, I got it. Act 2 is more difficult than Act 1. There are a lot more routes here, and there's a section which prevents us from backtracking. So here's how I did it. See these 2 devices? I went through the left one, like this, and then collected all the rings in the area and fell down here. I used this spring to head back to the start, and then did the same thing with the device on the right. And then wait, what? Huh, that's weird. After that, I went through the right side, the way most people would go through the level. Now, here's the most important part. See these cannons? This one, and this one, and this one, and all of these? Yeah, those will launch us to an area we can't get back from. So it's important to collect every single ring before we go in these cannons. After that, it's practically a straight shot to the boss. He's not that hard, but if we're too greedy, we can get hit while he's going down into the oil. All we need to do is play patiently, avoid the lasers, and we're done with Oil Ocean. This zone is the absolute worst. One-way doors and floors everywhere, enemies around every corner, a strange design which loops around from top to bottom. This zone has it all. The first obstacle I faced when tackling this level is this area here. See, if we go up here, the floor closes and we can't go back anymore. But if we go through the lower route, it also stops us from going back up. So we're in the same situation as in Hilltop Zone. 2 areas with rings that we need to choose between. You know what that means? Glitch hunting time. The first thing I tried was to find some way to clip into the walls. These crusher things looked like a good place to start. Unfortunately, they don't send you deep enough into the wall to do anything. So that's out. The other idea I had was using Tails. Maybe I could use him to get the rings for me while I stayed behind. Unfortunately, that idea didn't work out either, because Tails respawns very quickly after sending him off screen. So why not try the opposite approach? Go up there with Sonic and then use Tails to open the gate after I've collected the rings. Brilliant idea. The only problem? Tails dies when he gets too low in this area. I needed some way to keep Tails closer to me while at the same time making sure he was below the door. And that's when it hit me. I would control both Sonic and Tails at the same time, using Sonic to quickly collect the rings while making Tails fly right below the gate to keep it open. It needed to be incredibly fast, as Tails gets tired quickly, and if he falls, the gate closes. Not only that, I had to make sure that Tails didn't fly too high or too low while he was off screen while I was controlling Sonic. So this is how I did it. I held the controller like this, then I had Sonic charge up a spin dash, flew with Tails, released the spin dash, grabbed the rings with the Thunder Shield while pressing the jump button of the second controller, and then made it back as fast as I could. It took me hours before I managed to get this trick done correctly. But eventually, I finally got it. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! Oh, holy shit. Oh my god. We actually did it, boys. We actually did it. Holy shit. But we're not out of the woods just yet. Once I drop down here, I use Tails to get past this one-way door and collect the rings below. Then I follow this path at the bottom of the stage. The rings here are virtually unmissable. But it isn't long before we run into another problem. After going up this long vertical shaft, we find this. A platform that blocks the way to 8 rings. The normal way to get up here is to take the upper route in the stage. But we already know that isn't an option. So I came up with another way. By controlling Tails and making him go off screen, there's a small chance that he gains the properties to interact with certain objects when he respawns. If that sounds like nonsense, let's just say that Tails can trigger this platform sometimes when he flies back in. I don't know what causes it, and it's really inconsistent, but it does work. After trying for over 20 minutes, I finally got it. We finally got it. Oh my god. Holy shit. I was thinking we were not gonna get it. The rest is easy. We just need to follow the standard route, explore a little bit to make sure we got everything, and then clear the level. Jesus Christ, I cannot believe I actually did this. There has to be something wrong with my brain for actually being able to come up with this shit. After that absolute travesty of a level, I was prepared for the worst. But actually, we don't need any glitches anymore. I wouldn't call this level easy, but after Act 1, it seems heavenly by comparison. There are still plenty of one-way doors and so on, but as long as we take the correct route, we can collect everything no problem. First, I go down here and collect these rings, then go up to the left here, then don't head into the transporter. Instead, I go back and take the right path. There's this fake wall here, we need to go through it, and then I go down here, grab 3 rings, go up, and then to the left. I go up to where the slicer is, and then go down here to grab the rings, and then go back up. We need to be really cautious here because of that. Go left, and then go right. From here, it's smooth sailing. That's Act 2 done. But where's the boss? Oh yeah, we got another act to beat. This stage also has a bunch of one-way doors and stuff, but it's easier than the last 2 acts. At the start, we take the lower path instead of the higher one. Then, I go all the way down here. Once here, we don't jump up. Instead, I go down through this fake floor. Originally, when going through this level, I thought it was impossible because I didn't know that this fake floor existed. But because of this one tiny detail, we can actually do it. From here, we collect all the rings as normal until this point. We go to the left, making sure to grab these 3 rings, then keep going up to this point. After collecting the rings on the conveyor belts, we go all the way back and then take the right path. Once we reach this point, we intentionally fall all the way down here to collect these 6 rings and then go all the way back up. After that, it's a straight shot to the boss. We can again use tails to... whatever. The insta-shield also works well against him. And with that, this hellish zone is finally done. This zone is basically just a glorified cutscene. The rings are impossible to miss. We don't get a perfect bonus in this stage, or the next 2, because there's no score tally. The stage just ends. But by using debug mode, we can force it to end like a normal stage, in order to check if we've gotten every ring. This one's a bit more involved, but still easy compared to all the shit we've been through so far. Once we grab the Thunder Shield here, it's already over. We can just play through the stage normally, and all the rings will naturally gravitate towards us. All we need to do now is take it slow and make sure we pick up any rings along the way. And after that... no rings here. Just pure skill. Or not. First, we deal with Mecha Sonic by hitting him 4 times with the spin dash and then 4 times again when he uncurls. Easy. Now Eggman suddenly gets super speed and it's final boss time. If we stand at the right edge of the screen, we can get a bunch of free hits in. Just gotta avoid the fire from his jetpack. After this, just keep hitting him when it's safe. And then, we win! Sonic? Sonic, get out of there! When I started this challenge, I had no idea I'd get this far. But somehow, some way, we actually did it. Take that, Cybershell, you hack! Nah, I'm just kidding. When Cybershell made that video, this challenge really was impossible. The Genesis game had rings stuck in walls and other unreachable places, and the 2013 mobile version had no way to control tails, making Metropolis Act 1 unbeatable. That means that this challenge is only possible to complete specifically on the Sonic Origins version of the game. So if you guys want to try this yourself, knock yourselves out. No, literally, knock yourselves out because that would be a better use of your time. Oh, and one more thing I forgot to mention. Remember when I said I'd get every perfect bonus? Well, I lied. It's actually possible to get a perfect bonus in the special stages, but this is only possible in some of them, and even then, only when 2 players are working perfectly in sync. So I just decided to skip all the special stages since they're optional anyway. If you want to see me do more challenges like this, leave a comment down below with your suggestions. I'm always looking for a new insane thing to try. And with that,